Since I'm planning on making a video for all the 7 Archons, might as well finish off the other Archons first. And the only one I haven't made a video about yet is Fenty, except for Nahida since we don't really have that much information about her yet. So let's fix that. Out of all the Archons, Fenty is the one I feel the most neutral towards. I like him but not too much, and I don't particularly dislike him either. He's around the middle, or he's above the middle or above average, whatever you want to call it. In my opinion, he's definitely way better than Raiden Shogun because he doesn't make me want to punch the monitor every time they're on screen. Also, if you've watched my past videos, no, I will never stop hating on Raiden Shogun. If you want to know the reason why, just watch my very first video. So anyways, the main aspect of Fenty that I like the most is his personality. Though his story is also pretty good, I just much more prefer Zhongli's, in which I'll get into more in depth later as per usual. So enough about that, let me actually start the goddamn video. Let me talk about the drunkard himself, the one of the main reasons why I started playing Genshin Impact, Fenty. Also, Sinnoh, please come home. I'll give you whatever you want. Just like I said in the intro, I think the biggest strength of Fenty is his personality. Out of all the Archons, he has the best personality in my opinion. Well, that's kind of debatable since Nahida has been growing on me. Also, I haven't done the 3.1 Archon quest yet. I have no time for that because of school, so yeah. What I really liked about Fenty's personality is just how fun it is and just how laid back he is. Though, of course, he has his more serious moments in which there's only really a handful of moments in where Fenty is really serious. The only moments I can think of where Fenty was serious is in the end of the Archon quest, in Mondstadt, and his story quest. And maybe more, but I can't really think of any more besides those two. But most of the time, he's just a alcohol-loving bard that goes around and telling stories and sometimes helps out people. He's that kind. He's kind that acts like the comedy relief character, though not in the type you may think. It's not like on the level of Ito in the Chasm quest. Well, maybe comedy relief is kind of misleading because he's not a comedy relief character. He's more like a character that lighten ups the mood in a story quest or whatever quest he shows up in which really in which really I think that's the best way I can describe Fenty. He's a character that tries to lighten up the mood of every story quest or Archon quest he is in which I think he does it greatly. Probably one of my most favorite traits of him is his alcoholism, because I just kind of find it funny. The scene where Fenty fixes the lyre after breaking it and we just run for it because the fix Fenty made is temporary and it's going to be broken again was pretty funny.
The Holy Liar! Oh, Lord Barbados! Even if I atone for these sins for the rest of my life, it would still not be enough! Oh, give it here. How could this... The Holy Liar, but how?
Huh? Let Paimon see!
No. I don't know how you managed to fix it, but you'll never touch the lyre again.
We, really should get going. That trick I used to repair the Holy Liar. I mean, the magic I used isn't going to hold forever, you know.
What?
You tone-deaf bard! Hey, don't go!
Also, because of Fenty, we were given one of the original memes of Genshin Impact, and that is... Fenty is in so many goddamn events. I think he has the most appearances in events than any other character. In any event that involves Mondstadt, it's basically a guaranteed that Fenty would appear in it. Even some events that you wouldn't think he would appear in, like the Irodori Festival, he would just be there. And most of the time, he plays as one of the main characters in the event or just as a side character. So I have a lot to talk about in this part. But the problem is, I don't really remember some of the events he shows up in or what he does in that event. So I'll just talk about the events. I do remember him being a active character, and that is his story quests and his involvement in the Archon quest. The only two events I'll be talking about is the first and second Wimbloom. I don't really remember which one it is, and the Irodori Festival. So I'll start off with the Wimbloom event. Like I said, I don't know if it's the first or second Wimbloom, but I have a feeling that it may be the second one, but I may be wrong with this, so you can just correct me if it in the comments if you want. This is the Wimbloom where Fenty asked a bunch of Mondstadt characters to make a poem, so that there's a little clue for you or which part it is. Which the four people we asked to make a poem were Timaeus, Kia, Bennett, and Razor. And out of all the four, my favorite poem was Kia's, for the simple fact that it was in Helitrollian. And when Fenty started reading out the poem out loud, I honestly died of laughter. I don't know why I found that scene really funny. Maybe it's just something about the image of Fenty speaking in Helitrollian. It's just funny in my head. But anyways, I'm pretty certain they hired Fenty to teach him to make better poems, and their payment is alcohol, so that's fun. Now, for the Irodori Festival, he mostly is a side character for this event. Only at his part does he become the main focus, which is basically the same with every single character in the Irodori Festival. Well, except for Kazuha, which this is basically a event about Kazuha, and maybe as well as Albedo, though maybe not. I like how he becomes the reference for one of the 5 writers for Albedo to draw. For Fenty's part of the event, it's just Fenty being Fenty, finding him stuffed in a cargo box, forgetting why he was there in the first place because he was drunk as hell, and forgetting where he put his invitation for the Irodori Festival, and getting in trouble with Sarah, as well as almost getting into prison. I liked it. Granted, that may be mostly because of Albedo, because hey, it was nice seeing Albedo and Fenty interact. Also, I'm so disappointed that the painting Albedo made, the blank where you can use hydro to show Scaramouche, I was so sad that it doesn't work in the teapot. Or maybe it does and I just did something wrong. Either way, it doesn't work for me. So, sad. Anyways, time for the Archon quest. So, I liked his involvement in the Archon quest, and that's about it. Because out of all the Archon quests, the very first one is the most simplest and most straightforward. Which makes sense, it is the very first Archon quest you'll ever do in the game, but it does its job. It introduces you to the world and to its characters, and it made the entire world thirsty for Kia. In which, I won't deny, I see the appeal. But who cares about all of this, since this is a video about Fenty? All I care about right now is him. So how is he in the Archon quest? Well, he's good. I think it's fitting how the very first character we ever meet in Teyvat, or second if you consider Paimon, is the Anemo Archon himself, just right after us getting the ability to control the Anemo element. Also, unlike Zhongli, I did not see the twist of Fenty being the Anemo Archon, because I wasn't expecting a Archon to show up that early on in the story. Sure, there were some clues like how he was interacting with Dvalin the first time we ever meet him, or him giving us the power to shoot down Dvalin. But I just thought he was just a really powerful Anemo user, or he has some sort of special power. I think the Archon quest does a great job of introducing Fenty as a character, but in my opinion, he is way better in his own story quest, which is rare these days. So, how about we start talking about his story quest, because I don't really have anything else to talk about the Archon quest. One last thing, the very first Archon quest has a special place in my heart because it gave us the emergency food meme. Now, for Fenty's story quest, like I said earlier, in my opinion, this is where Fenty shines as a character. Though, in my opinion, this story quest is pretty disappointing because it shares the same problem I have with Kazuha's story quest. The fact that the main focus of this story quest isn't Fenty is pretty disappointing. But I will admit, the Stanley story is really good. I was pretty interested in the device Lisa made, in which where you can see the imagination of people. I would honestly like more appearances of this advice because it seems pretty interesting. The two things I enjoyed the most in the story quest is the ending and the story about Stanley. You see, Stanley just has a sad story because you see, the Stanley we get to meet in the story quest isn't actually Stanley, but instead it is Stanley's partner pretending to be Stanley. Also, I don't remember the name of Stanley's partner, so I'll just call him Stanley's partner. You might be wondering, why is he pretending to be Stanley? Well, to make sure Stanley's name and legacy will be forever remembered by the people of Mondstadt, because the real Stanley died while exploring with his partner and leaving his partner to have survivor's guilt. And this is his reason for impersonating Stanley, not to steal his identity, but to make sure he will be never forgotten. And his interaction with Venti around the end was pretty sweet. Speaking of the ending, this has to be probably one of the more better ones in a story quest. Also, can I just say this? Why does every Archon have a dead friend or friends? It's basically a requirement. And I'm pretty certain Kusanali also has a dead friend. But I'll talk about that in a future video because I'm planning on making a video for the new Archon quest. I don't know how to end this segment or... so here, have the ending cutscene of Fenty's story quest.
In old Mondstadt transpired the story to be told, where a tyrant ruled. I met a boy not that old. The lyre he played, and for a song he sought. But storm walls blocked blue sky, he was sincerely distraught. I do so wish to see the birds in flight, said he, his strong eyes filling with light. But his voice was lost in the howling wind's churn, for the whirlwind takes and gives not in return. The true sky and songs that cageless soar, were they not wishes worth fighting for? So the boy turned, extending his hand. Let us cast down the tyrant and his walls from this land. The young boy raised then the flag of revolt, and I threw myself into freedom's tumult. Victorious were we who fought to be free. Gods fell, winds whipped, nations shook violently. In the smoke, a despot met his doom, and we watched as his great tower fell none too soon. Mondstadt began anew, the story passed down, and since then never has another worn its crown.
With all of this going for him, it's no surprise that Fenty is one of the most popular characters in the game. Though I did say he is the second weakest of all the Archons character-wise, but he is honestly just such a great character. But he's not on the level of Zhongli and Nahida in my eyes. And plus, it also helps that Fenty is quite a strong character. But who knows, maybe in the future he'll be at the top. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Sorry if this was late. I've been really busy with school as of lately. Also, I managed to get Sino or Sino, however you want to pronounce it. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm definitely going to do a video about the new Archon quest because it's just so good. When I was creating this script, I haven't done it yet, and when I was done with this script, I also managed to finish the Archon quest as well, so that's pretty surprising. It's most likely going to be my next video, so I hope you're excited for that, but who am I kidding you? Probably not. So, also, before I go, I'll just say this. Alhaitham and Sinnoh are definitely challenging some of my favorite characters for their spot. So, yeah, goodbye.